weekend off. I was like, I'm thinking maybe 1-2 calls a day. Man, we talked every 90 minutes.
Oh, that's
sometimes twice every 90 minutes. I'm like,
good.
I thought I had the weekend off.
Well, at some point, I don't know where Kerr's at in his life, but I know for my dad, it's the same thing for Christmas and birthdays. Just give me a couple box of Pro V1s. I'm good. Those are golf balls.
Yeah, I know. I know what they are now. 5 months ago, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Now I do. Celebrity Golf Classic coming up in Presidio. Steve Kerr joined. Oh boy, if he flicks again, look at Steiny. He's laughing. If he flicks again, he's like, I'm not talking to these bozos. Probably the wrong topics to talk about before having a head coach on.
I wonder what Steiny thinks would be when Draymond says this is the most important year of my career. I wonder how Steiny perceives that, or how you would even quantify how he can live up to whatever he's insinuating.
He is so polarizing. Comcast business text line 510. Should have traded Draymond for Miles Turner, kept Durant. 209. I do not want Draymond to check those emotions. He needs to play with them. I mean, he's so polarizing.
Well, I'm a believer in channeling your energy, right? I have a lot of adult ADHD and all these other things. It's like I got to channel it positively. That's why I do a million different things. That's why I like to coach and stuff. I want to see him channel that fire and that passion positively.
Yeah.
Or a little more positively.
No, I'm with you there. Wow, maybe we'll get to this right after. I'm going to send this to Loveman. Speaking of Trevor, I don't want to revisit this, not today. But I'm going to send it to the roast, and I'm going to let you guys decide. I'm going to let you guys decide whether or not we talk about it. You guys can check your phones as we effort Steve Kerr, and we're praying. The butterflies are floating. Are we going to get the head coach on? Oh, I think we got the head coach on of the Golden State Warriors, 9-time champ, just coming over from the Philippines for the FIBA World Championship. And he celebrated his birthday 2 days ago. And I guess we'll start this conversation off, Coach. Good morning to you. Welcome to the Morning Roast. Joe Shasky, the Butcher, Bonte Hill. Happy belated birthday. Now, we're just asking, what does a man of your stature need for his birthday? For example, me and Joe are in our early 40s, and I hate admitting that, but I just want like crab legs and some seafood. What do you want for your birthday, Steve Kerr? What is something that you need?
I'm going to be honest, guys. When you're 58, you don't even realize it's your birthday until somebody tells you. So, I don't. It's not like you're 12 anymore.
Right. Yeah. No, my girl sets up all these dinners and plans, and I'm like, I just want to watch basketball or football or play video games. I'm good here. But how was the Philippines? How was Dubai? As worldwide travelers, I always tease Shasky about going out of the country and seeing the world and going to Europe and stuff. How was Dubai in the Philippines for you, Coach?
It was awesome. We had such a great trip. Just being in the Philippines for the first time, they're incredibly passionate about basketball there, and to experience that, to represent our country and coach Team USA in that atmosphere was so much fun. Obviously, we didn't pull it off, and that part was disappointing, but couldn't have asked for a better group of guys, better coaching staff, and the whole experience was incredible.
Coach, I was at home folding laundry, and all of a sudden my phone started going crazy. Chris Paul to the Warriors, and I was like, I will never forget this moment. Like, Chris Paul to the Warriors? Yeah. Where were you? Not like what were you thinking? Where were you when you found out Chris Paul was coming to the Warriors?
Well, we kind of had an inkling that it was a possibility, so it wasn't like out of the blue.
Okay.
And so I had a few conversations in the days leading up to the trade, with Mike Dunleavy, and so when it went through, it was it wasn't a shock, but it's just so interesting that this guy who we've been battling with forever. Is all of a sudden going to be wearing a Warriors jersey, and I'm so excited. I mean, he's just been a guy who I've admired and feared, to be honest with you, for so many years, just because of his complete control of the game, at the point guard spot, and he's really something. Just watching him play pickup ball the last few days with our guys, I mean, he's still one of the best players in the league. So thrilled to be coaching him and to have him on our side finally.
You know, Coach, that was a day I don't think we both put our phones down. I had left swim class with my daughter, and Shasky called me 4 different times. I'm like, what? Did something go wrong on the show? Did we get fired? And it's like Chris Paul to the Warriors. It's like, wait, oh, man, we got to do all these hits here. So, you know, there's this fascination because every time we go out, whether Shasky and I, we go out, goodness. And it's Chris Paul going to start it, this and that. And that's not even a question. But what is the fascination with starting? Because personally, I always think, all right, what's the finishing lineup look like? What's the last 12 minutes? Who's going to be on the floor? Who's going to get stops here? Why do you think there's such a fascination with who starts and who doesn't?
You know, I don't know from a fan standpoint. I know from a player standpoint, it's more about comfort zones. You know, so for Chris, for example, he literally has never come off the bench his entire career. So, you know, when it depends on who you're talking about, but every player is a little different. I think in 15 years, I might have started 20 games in my career. So, you know, but I finished a lot of them. And so for me, it was not really a big deal, but for a guy like Chris, you know, who's started every single game, coming off the bench would be a huge adjustment, and that has to be something that we take into account. I said this the other day. I really feel like we have 6 starters with the group. Sometimes things will just take care of themselves with an injury, you know, whatever, where you know you don't even have to plan. But when we do have all 6 guys, we have a lot to think about, a lot to consider, not only who starts, but who finishes. And the only way it's going to work is if all 6 guys and the whole team, obviously, are all in and, you know, completely aware that every night's going to be different.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of the offense that you guys have been running all these years, the motion. It can look different possession to possession, and you're trying to play to your players' strengths. What do you think it looks like trying to incorporate, you know, a very deliberately paced Chris Paul and playing into his strengths? How do you guys blend those?
Well, you know, I really look at our season a year ago, and you know, even before we got Chris, my goal was to find a balance between the pace and the you know, the execution. I mean, last year we were number 1 in pace and 30th in turnovers, and that's not a combination that's going to win a championship. And so even before we got Chris, you know, I had this goal of you know, cutting back turnovers, but finding a pace that suits us best. Chris will help us do that automatically, and I think it's going to be a case where, we're going to sort of meet halfway. You know, he's going to, when he's playing with Steph, especially, he's going to throw the ball ahead or run ahead and generate more pace than he's used to. And then at the same time, we're going to pull back and execute more often when we need to, and not get caught in this game where we're, you know, throwing the ball around like we did last year and giving up too many possessions. So what I've found in my career, those smart players figure it out quickly, and when you put a bunch of smart, talented guys on the floor together, it really isn't that big of an adjustment.
Talking to head coach Steve Kerr, the Golden State Warriors helped lead them to 4 championships in the last 9 seasons, entering year number 10 as head coach of the Golden State Warriors. Now, with this fascination of everybody talking about the 6 starters and whether or not Paul starts or whatnot, I think one of the biggest X factors for your team, and tell me if I'm wrong, Coach, is Andrew Wiggins. I think he's flying under the radar. And before he suffered that right adductor strain last season, I think you could make the argument that he was playing maybe the best basketball of his career coming off of that finals run. Where's Andrew Wiggins at physically and mentally? How's his offseason been?
Yeah, I saw Wiggs this week, in the gym, talked to him a little bit. He looks great. He's feeling really well. So, he's a guy who's right in the prime of his career. He's been here now several years, so he has a great feel for how we play and playing with his teammates. And obviously, guards the best player night in and night out. So Wiggs is in a great place, and really excited to coach him. He's just one of the best guys you'll ever be around. I mean, he's there for you every night and gives everything to his teammates. And last year was just a tough situation and tough year for him, but the way he handled it, the way he came back, competed in the playoffs, I thought he was just incredible. So I'm thrilled to have Wiggs back.
You know, Draymond's done a lot of podcasts over the last year, but on one of them he said this is the most important season in his career. Do you agree with him on that? And how can he deliver on such an important season for you guys and for himself?
Well, I like hearing that because, Draymond he's accomplished so much and, he's heading for the Hall of Fame. But he just signed a 4-year extension. So he's got a lot ahead of him. And I'm thrilled that he's excited and motivated for the season. Every season is the most important one of your career. That's how I look at it. So when you're motivated like Draymond is, you can't wait to get to camp and get to work.
Coach, Draymond Green in that half-court offense, a lot of players sag off of him. Is there an encouragement from the coaching staff, maybe, hey, shoot a couple more times because the spacing sometimes gets compromised, which is, I guess, why you went to one big at certain points in the playoffs last season?
Yeah, Draymond's played the 4 for us forever. We occasionally have started him at the 5, but more often than not, he's playing with another big, and then during the game at some point we'll get to that small lineup where he's at the 5. So the reason it works is because he's such a good playmaker. He's one of the leading assist men in the league as a 4-man. So we feel very comfortable playing Draymond at the 4. He has worked hard on his perimeter shot, and we want him to take it. He can make the 3, and we want him to keep defenses honest and take that shot when it's available.
I mean, you've had a firsthand seat, and so have all the fans. That's why we love them so much. Curry, Klay, Draymond, and we've seen them go from like boys to men and raising their own families. How is this locker room, the culture, the atmosphere, maybe the music as you're walking into the locker room? How's it evolved from day one when you first stepped in to where it's at now? And these guys are obviously, grown men of their own, raising their own families.
Yeah, that's one of the best parts of coaching, really, is to develop relationships with guys and then to see them grow, see their families grow, and spend time together and really grow as a team, as a group, and experience all of this together. It's pretty unique. It's a wonderful profession. It really is. So for me, and this situation has been so unique. Very few NBA coaches get to coach a group of guys like Steph, Klay, and Draymond for a decade. And that's this year. This year is my 10th year, and been with these guys the whole way through, and seen them raise families and evolve and grow, and just been an amazing run.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Steve Kerr here on the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game. Klay Thompson, we know last year it didn't work out in the offseason. Now I understand why. You're coming off 2 years of straight rehab. Maybe you want to take the summer off, coming off of a championship. Where's Klay Thompson at? Because he got a lot, I know on these airways, a lot of people reporting the fingers at him about his shot selection and whether or not he's the same defender. What have you seen from Klay Thompson? How does he look? What type of shape is he in? And what did you say? I guess you know what? Screw all that, Kerr. I got to ask you this. What was the message to Klay going into the offseason to get him into this shape? And what was that sacrifice that you talked about in your exit meeting with Klay Thompson?
Klay knew that he needed to have a better summer, and he told us that. We didn't have to tell him. He's self-aware, and I think this summer he was really committed. I just saw him, the last few days playing pickup ball. He looks fantastic. He's in great shape. He's shooting the lights out, motivated. It's a contract year. He wants to come back and be the best version of himself, and he's put himself in a position to do that. He's in great shape, and he's ready to roll.
Do you think this is the most difficult year of all the years, like heading into it as a coach for you, given all the new rosters, and you feel like the sand is coming out of the hourglass on a lot of these guys, and you're just a lot of new and a lot of things riding on the success of this year? Is this the most difficult heading in?
I don't think so, because I think Mike Dunleavy and his staff did a phenomenal job of balancing out this roster and giving us a group that really has a chance to succeed. And we've added the veteran presence of Corey Joseph and Chris Paul and Dario Saric. We have Gary Payton back from the very beginning. And then, we still have the young talent with JK and Moses and the two rookies. But it just feels like a really well-balanced roster where the veterans are going to be able to lead. The young guys are going to be able to develop on a good pace. And, with the addition of Chris, I think we've got the balance that we need to our game where we've got to get better possessions. And there's nobody better in the league than getting a good possession every play than Chris Paul. So I feel great about this roster. I think, like I said, Mike did an incredible job. The team's in a good place. We're motivated because we lost last year. And,
right.
I think we're feeling really good about where we are right now.
Coach, a lot was made about the culture last season being broken and the culture being out of sync, and you're going to get a test right away. 7 of the first 9 games are on the road. Are you excited for that? And can you gauge where your culture's at after just one road trip so early in the season?
Well, we haven't even had a practice yet. So, you have to feel the vibe and the everything leading into training camp next week. We've had a lot of guys in the gym. There's a good feeling, a good vibe, a lot of high expectations. And our culture here over the years has been great because we have the players who make it that way. Steph and Klay and Draymond, we've had veteran guys who understand what this is all about. It got away from us a little bit last year for reasons that have been well documented, but I feel great about this team and this organization and our ability to succeed at a high level.
You've talked a lot about Jonathan Kuminga's role and how it's going to evolve and certain things that he might need to do. How does he build that trust with you early on? How are you going to know that he's earning that trust to get more playing time and more opportunities depending on the night?
Well, I think for any young player, it's really just more about learning what wins, and so that's where trust comes from. Trust just comes from, are you making the right play more often than not, or are you putting yourself and your team in a position to win? And that's the name of the game for every young player. And it takes a long time to figure that stuff out. And I know everybody wants it to happen right away. But especially today in the NBA where players are coming in, at 19 with very little experience, to win at the highest level, it takes time and it takes growth. And JK's had a great summer. He's committed. He's such a good guy. He's such a willing worker and wants to impact the game at the highest level. So I love what I've seen all summer and have a great relationship with JK. And the trust just comes as the experience comes. That's how it works.
Steve Kerr here on the Morning Rush on 95.7 The Game. Glad he could join us here. Real quick, Steve, because a lot of these players in today's game spend a lot of time on social media. And they hear things, whether it's our fans, whether it's us, talk about trades and trading this player and that player. And Jonathan Kuminga and Chris Paul's name has come up over and over and over. Is that something that you have to address to players, whether it's this year, last year, as a player? How do you navigate through that, knowing that social media has a big influence on today's game?
Yeah, it's such a difficult thing for these guys to deal with. I don't know how they do it, honestly. When I played, it was so easy just to avoid, the noise because there just wasn't that much of it. Now it's everywhere. And so we talk to our players about it every year. We've got people in place to try to help guys on a lot of different fronts, and it's just part of it these days. But I try to get ahead of it if I can. I just feel like the more open and honest that we can be as a coaching staff, as an organization, the more the players will trust us. But inevitably, there's just stuff out there that you can't control, and it's not an easy thing for our players to deal with.
Yeah, I've seen different video clips of you telling guys on the team, like, we don't just get paid to play, we get paid to deal with all the other stuff, right? Whether it's the media scrutiny, the pressure you put on yourself to win, which we all love because that's what you guys want to do. You want to win it at the highest level. But what do you do, Coach? Like, how do you kind of tap out from all of this pressure, all of this criticism? Is there something that you do to unplug, like Netflix or whatever, or is there a hobby that you do? Because I find it very difficult, and we're on the lowest rung of this when it comes to criticism. I find it difficult to tap out of those things. So how do you kind of navigate that?
Well, I got off of social media several years ago, and it was the best decision I've ever made. So one way to tap out is to not even see any of it. But for me, it's always, whether it was as a player or now as a coach, it's just about balance and doing the things that you enjoy. Whether for me it's cooking or cooking a meal or watching a game on TV or playing golf or doing yoga, reading a book. I mean, just living life without paying too much attention to all that stuff.
So, are you a paperback book guy or are you an audio? Because Shasky loves the audio. I love the good old paperback. I need to smell the pages, Coach.
Me too. I can't do the Kindle thing. I need an actual book in my hands.
Cooking? What's the meal? What are you cooking up?
Oh man, I stir fry pasta. I'm not like an innovative cook. I just need a good recipe, but I enjoy the process of cooking and having a beer and having a game on in the background. It's very relaxing.
Yeah, I can only cook eggs. So you're already a better cook than me. Go ahead,
well, we have like a running joke here, like Bonte's book club. So can you recommend a book to Bonte and to the rest of the listeners that either you're reading currently or that you've read that would maybe enlighten us, because we need to read a little more as a society?
Oh, there you go. I just read a great novel called Demon Copperhead, and it's I think it won the Pulitzer. It's a woman named Barbara Kingsolver who wrote this book. It's a novel about a boy growing up in the Appalachian Mountains in Southwest Virginia, and very sad book, but really powerful story, and one of the best books I've read in a long time. So that would be my recommendation.
See, I'm stuck on like Lakers versus Celtics, Bill Walsh documentaries. I can't help myself, Coach. I'm locked in.
There's going to be a winning time on Steve Kerr during this era. 20 years from now. You know it, right,
not.
Coach?
I hope not, man.
I hope they portray me better than they portrayed Paul Westhead.
Seriously.
It was bad. Real quick, before we get you out of here, we got to ask a question. It's a contract year for you. You mentioned it for Klay Thompson. I guess, how do you deflect the questions moving forward? And would it just be better to get it done? Because I know you said you want to be here long term.
Yeah, I'm not, like I said, I'm not worried about it at all. This is the last year of my contract, but, Mike and Joe have been great, and they've told me they want me back, and they know I want to be back, and I'm really excited about these next few years. It's Steph is still playing at a high level for Draymond and Klay. We've got these, really interesting, good, talented young guys, and so I want to be a part of it, and I have no doubt it'll happen. It's just, these things take some time, so not too worried about it.
The summer of Steph. He wins a golf classic at Tahoe. He's running the sand dunes in Dubai right now, a place you were just at. He just doesn't slow down. What do you ever have to call him and say, hey, Steph, I'm a little worried, man, you're golfing. You got the new gentleman's cut drink. Like, he's just nonstop moving on. How close is that to Michael Jordan and when you played with Jordan and he was doing all the things that he was doing in Chicago?
Yeah, I mean, it's watching Steph make that Eagles to win the golf tournament was one of the most incredible moments I've ever experienced, because I knew how badly he wanted to win it, and to eagle the final hole, and when you're actually a basketball player and not a golfer, I mean, unreal. But just typical Steph. He loves life. He embraces everything. He attacks everything he does. Loves his family. Loves his life. And he just knows how to live. He's and he's still at the top of his game, working so hard basketball-wise, conditioning-wise. The guy's incredible, so I'm lucky to coach him. We're lucky to watch him.
Yep.
Coach, on the way out, I know you are a big Dodger fan.
Oh, boy.
I hate the Dodgers, so...
Yeah, we both do, Coach.
Dodgers suck. But no, do you ever talk to Dave Roberts or any other guys in other sports where you maybe get wisdom or inspiration from that you think are excellent managers in their field?
Yeah, I do know Dave. We both live down in San Diego, and so I've seen him occasionally over the years. Just run into him. We've played golf. I've actually become friendly with a lot of NFL coaches. Interestingly enough, and
Shanahan.
It's just been fun to compare notes. To listen to what these guys go through. Obviously a different sport, but similar challenge in terms of, trying to motivate teams and get everybody on the same page and all of that. So I've really loved getting to know guys like Pete Carroll, who was a mentor of mine when I first started coaching the Warriors. And of course, Kyle, who's just incredible with the Niners. Sean McVay, Brandon Staley. I've had conversations with all these guys and comparing notes, and it's really one of the best parts of my job is having access to people and coaches like these guys who are just so good at what they do.
Well, we're excited to see what you do this season, your 10th season with the Golden State Warriors, and it's been a dream for everybody here in the Bay Area, 4 championships, and I know you guys want more. Media Day on Monday, training camp starts on Tuesday. We can't wait. We're happy to have Warriors basketball back, and it should be an exciting one. Coach, we appreciate the time. I know we went long with you. Thanks for being patient with us.
You got it. Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.
Have a great day.
Steve. Head coach of the Golden State Warriors, Steve Kerr, here on 95.7 The Game.